And it's live. Our special election coverage continues here on Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. Gotta tell you that if you're ever in trouble finding us at 105.9, we are off the air on that channel due to a power outage. Tune in to 103.3 AM 1530, or better yet, just stream us live at TalkErie.com or use the Talk Erie app. Search for us in Google Play or the App Store. On the line with us, representing the 2nd District of the State House, the General Assembly, is Representative Bob Murski, the Democrat from PA2, and he's also, you're doing double duty here, so you're talking about your campaign as well as Harris Walls here. Representative Murski, what are you seeing on the ground here as you go around the 2nd District?
I'll tell you what, Joel, there's a lot of positive energy on the ground right now. People are definitely getting off the couch and getting in line to vote, and they're making their voices heard. I was out at the Harbor Creek Township building earlier this afternoon, lines out the doors. We were out at Green Township Municipal Building, lines out the doors. I was over at Joanna Connell, and a steady stream of people in and out of there. It's been nonstop.
Is there a difference? We got word from like Summit Township, for example, like, a buddy of mine before noon was like almost number 800. Is there a surge happening in the suburbs vis-a-vis the city, or is it just that the city has a lot of precincts? I mean, again, you're an expert at this stuff. You've been running for a while. Talk about that.
Well, I think there's a couple things at play. I think historically, I mean, we've only had mail-in voting for a few cycles now, but we know that Democrats tend to vote more by mail-in, and most of your strong base of Democrats are in the city. So you have a lot more mail-in ballots coming out of the city of Erie. In addition, you're absolutely right. In each precinct in the city, you have between 400 and 2,000 people, whereas in Summit Township, there's like 2,500 people in each precinct. So
wow. Okay.
They're growing so much, and that's up for the election officials if they want to divide it into a 3rd district out there. But there's 2 large districts out in Summit. But I think you're seeing record turnout all over. I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhere between 70 and 80% when it's all said and done.
Wow. It's hard to believe, honestly, just again, as we're talking, though, it's hard to believe that 20% would sit this one out, right?
I mean, the big thing for me is making sure that everybody, that they get out and vote.
Yeah.
We need to have everyone get out and vote. And there's really no excuse. The weather's beautiful. There's so many options to vote. And, the big thing right now is just making sure that we're calling those people and getting the message out that your vote matters. I think that's the thing that people feel, that their vote sometimes doesn't matter. Well, I can tell you for sure, there's right outside of Joanna Connell School right now, a newscaster and a whole crew from Italy filming. The world is watching Erie County right now. Every vote matters.
There's no doubt about it. Again, what was your final argument, to represent the 2nd District for another couple years here? What were you trying to portray from your campaign?
For me, it's the 3 A's: accessibility, accountability, and achievement. I try to get to everything in the district, and I'm accessible to our constituents. I really make a concerted effort to be in every township, every borough, and not just stay in the city. The other thing is accountability. When you're out like that, people aren't afraid to tell you what they think, and I think it makes you a better representative when you're listening to people from all across your district. It helps you make better decisions when you go to Harrisburg. And finally, achievement. We've been delivering as a delegation. I can't say I do it by myself, but as a delegation, we've been delivering for Erie. Just right in Harbor Creek Township this past week, over $6 million going to Penn State Barron for the Advanced Manufacturing Lab up there, which is a partnership between Wabtec and other industry with Penn State Barron to create over 100 jobs that are high-paying, high-skilled jobs right here in Erie County.
Yeah, it feels like Harrisburg knows where we're at, you know what I mean? Which is something different. That hasn't always been the case.
I think a couple things are at play there. One, we definitely all, Republican and Democrat, we try to speak with one voice for Erie. We sit down and look at the projects and look at things. And the other thing is there's Josh Shapiro has he's got a different approach, and he's much more business oriented. He wants government to move at the speed of business. And those are the kinds of projects that he's funneling money into. And what happens with those is it seems like you get a little bit more quicker turnaround. They're shovel ready, and you get that ribbon cutting, and then you get those jobs flowing. And that's really a different approach than what we're used to. And I think it's been successful for Erie.
What do you feel that Kamala Harris's final argument is breaking through?
You know, I do think so. You know, when she spoke to that crowd of 75,000 people with the backdrop of the White House on Tuesday, she made her argument. It's time to turn the page on 10 years of Donald Trump, and she wants to have a new way forward, an optimistic vision of the future. And I think that, you know, one of the things that really is resonating with voters is that she's bringing in Republicans and Democrats. She had quite a few Republicans actually out stumping for her in those last couple of weeks to seek common ground and common sense solutions. I think that's the kind of message that people are tuning into. They're sick of the division, and they're looking for people that will work to meet in the middle for common sense solutions for everybody.
We're going to leave it there. Representative Bob Murski of the 2nd District of the General Assembly. Be safe, sir. Enjoy yourself on this election day. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Joel.
All righty. Again, there's Bob Murski on the phone here on Talk Erie. Let's say hello to our election team for, what do we... Is this election 2024? Decision 2024. Our intrepid producer, Shani Bills.
Heather.
And our political guru, Dean Pepicello. Dino, Bob there talking about big money coming to Harbor Creek. And you're seeing, I mean, again, it helps that I think Erie's rising as a bellwether in notoriety might be helping with Harrisburg with the cash.
Well, that's an interesting theory.
I mean, plus what Bob said is that, heck, we're talking as one. You know, they hate it when we don't talk as one, right? So,
I think that's happening, and you're getting. I mean, there's Harkins, Bizarro.
Yeah,
been there a while now with redistricting. Jake Banta's a little new. But I
and then you have Laughlin there too.
Dan Laughlin's been incredibly influential as the state senator in this district usually is. So It's an interesting one for Bob Murski because is this his second election, I want to say, since the redistricting? So he went from just the city of Erie, ultimately the whole city council thing.
Right,
But
it would have been,
as state rep. So now they include Harbor Creek and Summit, two areas that have been a little more red along with the city. So when they did the redistricting, Democrats were in control of the governorship and the Supreme Court, the two things that you need basically in redistricting. They essentially took most of the Republicans in Erie County and they formed a U shape around Erie County. Yeah. Republicans in the east, Republicans in the west, Republicans in the south, predominantly. So they formed this big U around Erie County. And one of the things that happened for Bob Murski, they put him in what is a fairly competitive district. Harbor Creek Summit, Green Township,
Fifth
and
Ward
part of the city of Erie is now fairly competitive.
Yeah.
So Bob's had to be very aggressive in his campaigning, and he has been. You kind of see him everywhere because he's in one of these 50-50 seats. He's done a pretty good job.
It's kind of a mirror image, I would say, a little bit of Bizarro's district, of the 3rd district, because, again, Fairview isn't some blue bastion, there's a lot of red in Fairview. Mill Creek is much more purple, obviously.
Yeah,
so.
the Bizarro name is I'm not saying the Murski name isn't strong. It is. Certainly in East County, his father was sheriff and so much. But he's found himself in a competitive district. It's one of the fallouts of the redistricting. So he's had to work pretty hard. interestingly enough.
It looks like I'm going to have to make this announcement about every 5 to 10 minutes here. So our 105.9 is off the air right now. So we're encouraging folks to tune in to our Facebook feed, our YouTube feed. Also, you can listen on just the audio feed from TalkErie.com. 103.3 and AM 1530 are working. Of course, the AM is going to go to low power here in about an hour or so. So it's just one of those things that there's a power outage. A tree fell on a line that's basically feeding not only us, but Channel 12, Channel 35, other stations. Our sister station, 106.3, is off the air. You know, I mean, it's tough. And so we're waiting for word from our boss to see when we're back up. But yes, there is an issue with Talk Erie on the radio at 105.9.
What a day for that to happen.
Yeah, you know,
Right?
and again, like I was telling Dino, I was like, yeah, we don't have as much to lose as the TVs. Let's just say that, you know. So, you know, but the wind was nasty. So, Shani, did you vote?
I did.
What was your number?
183, I think is what I told you, right?
And
Yeah.
that was right around 9:45 or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
9:30, 9:45 in the morning in Wesleyville. It's a fairly small district, and it's divided in half. So, yeah, that's a pretty good number.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
I was 81 at 8:45 in my district. And so
Yeah.
if the city districts are like 250 to 400, that's, I mean, we're almost a halfway, couple hours in. That's insane.
That doesn't include the mail-ins at that point.
No, that would just be who's
Day
scanning. Day of.
Right? Big number.
That's a big
Yeah.
number.
I don't know what I was. As soon as I walk into the place, it's blah, 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 what about this? What about that? What's going on with this development? You know, I don't even.
Right.
I never get the. It's just I can't even get in the door.
What's gonna happen
Exactly.
at the old Kmart,
Yes,
Dean?
yes, exactly. What's going on?
You
with the
should just
distillery?
have that like as an easy button.
It's incredible.
You know, it's like, you know, somebody else owns that, but they're building something.
I know, isn't that true? It's all right. It comes with the territory.
know.
But I don't remember what number they said.
That's awesome.
It's been steady. I
Right.
haven't seen incredibly long lines everywhere. Again, half the people are probably voting by mail-in.
My buddy waited 45 minutes at Summit. He was 787 before noon.
Wow.
11:15. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
We got to go to break. It's 3:30 on Talk Erie.
Yeah. Good numbers.
Yeah, I don't think I want to go anywhere. Although I'm tempted to like bop in on Dan and bop in on Jim.
Where's Jim's at?
Jim's is at the feed here on. You know where they have that projection thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 13th and State.
Yep.
Or next to it or something.
That's the headquarters, isn't it?
That's the headquarters. I think it's
Yeah.
next to it. But it's on State. I mean, that's really the race that's super consequential for this area.
Oh, without a doubt.
It is, yeah.
Okay, 4:15 would work. Okay. Oh, you wrote that. Okay, good.
Yeah. I replied for you.
I appreciate that. You're producing, producer.
I'm trying. Doing what I can over here.
Not giving you a whole lot to work with.
Well, you know.
Yeah, after today, you know, you won't be able to. Hey, maybe I can get Mark Cuban on the phone again.
I know.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Mark, it's Shaney.
You could put Mark on speed dial.
Hey, Mark, I got an issue. I'll just call him up, you know?
Why not? I mean,
Right.
what you know? What there's just 1 degree separation. He's a Erie. He's a Pittsburgh guy. He's a PA guy.
That's right. They all want.
Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. And a program note, and really kind of a little frustrating here, folks, is that our 105.9 signal is down right now. So if you can hear me, you're probably listening on 103.3 or AM 1530 or on our stream. And that's what we're encouraging folks to do, is go to our stream either on TalkErie.com, on our Talk Erie app available on the App Store or Google Play, or you can hear us on Facebook or on YouTube, where we're streaming video live for the entirety of the program. Dean Papicello is with us. Shani Bills is with us. We encourage you to join us at 814-679-1080. We've already heard from one candidate. We've invited the candidates to call in and give us their opinion of what's happening. Dean, there literally is no surprise that the turnout is heavy in Erie County.
No, it'll happen every 4 years. You see it today at the polling places. A lot of people aren't really sure where they are, not what to do. I've gotten reports that people don't know how to fill out the ballot, which seems like it should be pretty simple, but clearly that's the case. So, these are the sexy elections, and why wouldn't they be? I'd like to. You know what? Here's what. It doesn't bother me, but you look at probably 75% turnout today, and you look at our local elections, right? And we're setting your taxes and plowing roads and doing and you'll get 30% turnout. It's like, oh man, it's very funny. But these are the sexy elections. It matters, obviously, with all the advertising that goes in. I mean, all of the chasing the low propensity voters, all of the texts. I mean, both parties want their voters to come out, and when you have billions of dollars, and essentially that's pretty much the case at this point, over $1 billion spent on this national race in particular, you're going to see this type of turnout.
So it's interesting. We've been saying it's a base election, but it's all about the low propensity of the base.
Well, it's both. So you have to do both. If you don't get your base out, you're not going to win. And if you don't get the low propensity out, you're probably not going to win, because you're going to lose in a close election. So you have to do both.
Let's go to the phones here. You're live on Talk Erie on Election Day. Go ahead.
Hey, Joel, Shani, Dino. Hey, I would like to remind Dino, he did sign up for people to complain. So if he can't take the heat, maybe he should get out of the kitchen.
I absolutely signed up. Four times I signed up.
Right. But also with Mr. Mursky, he should do a couple shows at Keller's. What a joke. This guy talks about division, and that's all Democrats do. But anyhow, let me get to what I'm really wanted to call about. So me and my wife, we were 14 and 15 at 7:20 a.m. this morning. And we went in, and there was, a few people in front of us. And everyone was handing their IDs to the people with the iPads, which I was happy to see people, and I said, oh, you're asking for ID? They said, no, but people's handing them to us. So, after they check your information, they give you a piece of paper that you take over to, where your ballots are at. So we go over there, and the gentleman sitting there asks my wife what party she belongs to.
That's weird.
And, well, it's real weird. I called down the elections office, and that's a no-no.
Yeah.
That's allowed in primary elections, but not in a general election.
Was he kind of older, Bill, or did he seem like a little out of it?
No, this was a younger kid that I've never seen there before. I vote there all the time. I never seen this cat there.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to tell people is, if you see something, say something, because I knew that didn't sound right. Him asking my wife what party, she was from.
Yeah.
But anyhow, like I said, we were 14 and 15, and I've gone by there a few times, and there's a lot of people voting there. But I want to talk about Cambria County for a minute. So they've had a software malfunction there where the barcode is not, it's not reading a barcode because it has barcodes missing. I don't know if you heard about that, but Dino knows about it.
Are you talking about for the mail-ins, Bill?
No, I'm talking about people going there and voting in person and putting their ballot through the machine, and it's not taking it because
Right. So voting has been extended till 10 o'clock there.
Oh, geez.
But I guess my point is, Joel, it's time to get rid of all this darn garbage melon balloting, these machines. Go into the polling place, show your ID, fill out your paper ballot, and be over with. This isn't just going on in Cambria County. This is going on all over the country, where there's problems, and this stuff, I don't think they want to sort it out because it just continues to happen. Election after election, there's always problems. The good thing for Mr. Trump.
There were problems before. It just, I think it just has never been, a news story before,
Well, yeah, you talking about a news story. I did contact fake Erie News Now about the poll worker down there asking my wife for her what party she was, and they didn't call me back. So I don't think they're interested in reporting on. But what I wanted to say is one good thing for Trump that I'm hearing is white men and black men are voting in record numbers all over the country.
Yeah.
So, that's a base that he needs. But real quick, I'm sorry, I don't want to take up too much time. I know you got other callers. But, hey, Dino, yesterday I want you to verify something for us. You said that Waltz's niece or something come to your door?
Yeah. Not my door, but in the neighborhood.
But how does that happen? I mean, they have a list of Democrats. They don't go to Republicans' houses.
No, you're not listening. Tried listening with both ears. They were in my neighborhood, not at my door, but I happened to be outside, and I approached her. Sorry.
Okay.
Right.
My bad. Yeah.
Okay. No, it could have been me.
Sorry.
I could have said it wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, I think you did say it wrong. I think you said that they were at your door, but I'm glad you cleared that up because I didn't know if Democrats had actually Democrat, addresses and rhinos combined. So
okay.
Awesome, man.
Oh, I just cut him off. I apologize, Bill. I was just trying to move the thing, but sorry about that. I guess I need to say this over and over again. We are off the air on 105.9. People are asking. We are on the air at 103.3 and 105 and 1530 AM. Also on our stream and also on Facebook and YouTube. And again, I apologize, Bill. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just hit the wrong button here, buddy. All right. It is 3:42. It was interesting. Was it Bob Mursky was saying that the Italians were at Joanna Connell, right?
I mean, TV.
That they were here. I talked to Canadian broadcasting. The whole world is like, I think they're more anxious than many of us are. But it was interesting. There's a reporter here in town from Canadian Broadcasting, and it picked up some sound bites. Again, they seem to be talking to the Canadians, Shane. I mean, we have trouble people talking to us. But they said, one person told the Canadians, I'm worried it's going to be a toss-up. I'm nervous and I want change. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. I believe in women's rights. This other one leans GOP. The current concern about turmoil on January 6th. January 6th looms large in a lot of people's minds. That there could be violence after. I don't see that in Erie, PA. But who knows what could happen elsewhere? Thoughts about violence and
I don't
turmoil?
See it. I don't see it. I think that's over.
Is it overwrought?
Oh, I think it is.
I mean, we're just...
Yes, I think it is. I don't see it. Again, that will be up to the candidates themselves. If either candidate comes out and says, I've been robbed, and here's why I think I've been robbed, and go out and do something about it, well, then people might, I guess. I know Shane is thinking that it'll only happen on one side. I get it. We don't know that. I'm saying tonight. Yes, historically, that is correct.
Yeah.
But if Trump wins tonight, and she says something, or some supporter says something that they've been robbed, I mean, I don't think this happens. I think we're done with that. First of all, I think communities are prepared for the most part. I think D.C. is prepared. I think people are through that. I think the country is going to make a decision today, and we're going to find out about it as soon as possible, and everyone is going to move on with their lives. That's what I think.
Good. I think people need to keep moving on with their lives. I'm seeing from the featured guest laureate here, they have completed their ballots along with your two daughters there, Shani. I want to read what Paul wrote on Facebook here. So, first time voting for president for both girls. First time voting ever for Haven. That was my first vote was for Ronald Reagan there.
And that's a pretty epic first vote.
Yeah, it is a pretty first vote.
This one might rival that, though. So,
Paul says that there are 1,014 people at the precinct in Wesleyville, and they were 370, 371, and 372. So that's a 33% turnout just on in person with 6 hours or 5.5 hours to go. And who knows, with mail-ins being about 30%, that seems to be kind of the average, right? And so, if we get that 80% turnout, there could be, it could be that half of, we're already over 50% before work lets out in Wesleyville, at that Wesleyville precinct, right?
Yeah. I mean, what's it mean? You don't know what any of this means. Nobody knows at this point. Does a high turnout favor one candidate or another? Does it favor Dan Laughlin or Jim Wirtz? Nobody knows. I mean, it's just, That's fine. We could talk about it all day, and that's cool that people are voting. I'm hoping they know what they're talking about. I hope they know what they're voting for.
Yeah.
I hope they have a reason that they're voting for that's legit, that's in the best interest of the country. I'm not convinced that's the case. I'm not convinced. Every 4 years you get these nitwits who have no idea what they're doing, and they come out because they've heard something or their friend told them or whatever, and they don't even know how to vote. And I mean, I have a bit of a problem with it. I know we want people to vote. We want people to be informed as voters. So you trust everybody? I mean, you're standing in line, you're looking at the next person going, I've never seen this person in my life. They've never voted. Do you trust that they're voting for the right reasons?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I do. The disparity is ridiculous. If we get closer to 80% turnout and you get 25% next year, that's what it'll be, 25 or 30%. Doesn't that alarm you a little bit?
Well, yeah. I mean, when you think about like the mayor who's in charge of what, $100 million budget every year, and basically wins with 3,000 to 6,000 votes out of 95,000 people.
County executives, school boards.
Yes,
you pay no more of your tax money to school district. I mean, school districts are the big right there.
Who's
Those
up?
decision makers
Who's
are
up
important.
of your colleagues next year
in Harbor Creek?
Yeah,
Steve Oler.
Steve. Okay.
Yeah, but especially coming off, people are going to be so exhausted from this election. Man, February turnaround for petitions will be like tomorrow, and people will be sick of it already.
It's like, what? What are you
and,
doing?
And the money that has to be spent now with early voting and mail-ins, and it's just it is tiring to people. But you're not going to see the turnout. It alarms me to some extent.
Wow.
What's so special about this election? Like, I know it's president. Like, why is that more special than a local elected official or a school board member?
Let's lean in on this for a second here, because you mentioned the Wirtz Laughlin. Senator Laughlin is the incumbent. Has beat, what was it, Brett Weiler, right? No. Who did he beat back in 2017?
Julie Slomski.
No, that was in 20.
Oh, beat
that was in 20.
Sean Wiley.
2020. Sean Wiley, not Brett. Yeah. Sean Wiley in 2016, right? Beats Wiley, and again, very contentious race. A lot of national money in 2020. Beats Slomski by 20%. Where do you think that's going? This race
again? You're looking at 80% turnout, and if this weren't a presidential year, that turnout would be 40%. So where are the 40% of people who wouldn't normally vote in this race in Erie County going to go? It probably favors Laughlin because of name recognition, I think, more than anything else.
And it makes me wonder, like, if there are voters, insofar as that just are going to do that top race. I mean, I have to flip it over to get to the assembly race.
Right. right? There were a number of people that didn't even know to do that. I'll be curious what the
that-
total number of votes in
yeah.
Erie County and for president versus
the General Assembly races.
Yeah, that would be
Wow.
many people didn't even know it. It probably favors Dan, but who knows? I think
But are there locations like do you assume that in the city that the Democrat does better, like that
oh yeah, absolutely.
that Jim would do better, but Dan has also been responsible for the money going to the city schools, and so there's some people that if they're a higher information voter, they might know that. But I don't know. Again, when you're going down 2-3 levels down the ballot,
Yeah.
how much information does a voter actually have?
I don't know, but I know 40% of the people are going to vote this year and not going to vote next year. That's a
Yeah.
huge number. So you don't necessarily know where those people are going. Again, let's assume that I'm not saying low information voter, but probably don't have as much information as the other people. They probably vote for name recognition if they vote in those races at all.
Let's get another phone call in here. Hi, you're live on our special election edition of the Joel Natale Show.
Hey, this is Mark Cuban.
Hi, how are you, Mark? Great to
I'm
hear
great.
from you.
Thanks for having me on, Joel.
We were expecting you a little bit later, but this is totally
Oh,
perfect.
you were? Oh, I'm sorry.
this
Do you want me to call
no,
back?
dude, we will not mess with you. How are you? What are you hearing about Pennsylvania and your old stomping grounds there, Mount Lebanon?
Well, I'm hearing that the Steelers made 2 great trades, so that's first and foremost. And then second, and more important, obviously, I'm hearing that, there's a great turnout, and, it's hard to tell who's voting for who, but, when I talk to people in the Harris campaign, they're really excited.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think that that Kamala's final argument is breaking through today?
Yeah, I do, actually. I mean, when I'm talking to people, I'm the business guy, right? I'm talking about the very specific business plan she's offered. Number one, there's 335 million people in this country. 331 million make $400,000 or less. And she has said very clearly that if you're in that tax range, your taxes are not going up, and for 100 million people, your taxes are going down. That's critical. Mm-hmm. Number two, and just as important, the one expense that everybody is terrified about in any household are healthcare expenses. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump said he has a concept of a plan for health care. Kamala Harris has been very specific to say she is going after the pharmacy middlemen, and she's bringing transparency to it. And I know from my own experiences that that's going to cut the cost of medications 20, 30% or more. And if she can extend that to the rest of health care, that's literally going to change the out-of-pocket expenses for any household. And then, of course, there's tariffs. Donald Trump had 4 years to learn how tariffs work and to make them work. It didn't work for him at all, and now he's getting more draconian. He's talked about having a 60% tariff on all Chinese imports. I don't know that people realize that all those toys that you buy your kids for Christmas in sporting goods equipment, dresses, shoes, they're made in China. So if Donald Trump wins this time next year, you're looking at the cost for your Christmas presents to go up 60% or more, and you're having to, look your kids in the eye and say, we can't afford as much as we used to. And in Erie, Pennsylvania, there's a lot of really cool small shops and, dress stores, the sporting goods store you've always bought from. They depend on the Christmas season, and if all the things that they import go up 60%, their sales are going down, and that's going to hurt them a ton. And so, with that as a closing message, that's what I'm out here talking about.
I appreciate it, but like we've said before, Trump uses the tariff thing as kind of like a negotiating tactic. It's the art of the deal type of thing. You think?
Yeah, but he had 4 years to do that. He had 4 years before to do that, and it didn't work. All those tariffs he started to put on backfired on him. Look what happened with the soybean farmers. That can't even say that. They almost got put out of business, and he had to take $20 billion over 2 years in taxpayer money to pay the soybean farmers so they wouldn't go out of business. There was no, you look at what happened with Foxconn in Wisconsin. He said that they were going to build a plant. He made the state of Wisconsin give Foxconn money. They just walked away and blew him off and took the money. I mean, there are example after example. When, he started his tariffs in January of 2018, by the time he got them in place, the economy slowed down so much the Federal Reserve had to cut interest rates 3 times. people don't really go back and look at the details of what happened in that trade war. All the retaliatory tariffs that China did then and would do again crushed all of our exporters and just destroyed their businesses, until they came off. And then people like to say, well, Biden kept some of the same tariffs. He kept some of the strategic ones to protect steel industry in Western Pennsylvania, to protect the electric vehicle business. Those are strategic. Those were in place before Trump. They'll be in place for a lot longer. But what they forget to say is the Biden-Harris administration did a deal with the EU saying for the next 5 years there'll be no tariffs. Yeah. And so not all the Trump tariffs stuck around, just the strategic ones. And the across-the-board tariffs are just going to increase prices for everybody. And like I said, they're going to crush people's Christmas.
I'm interested in your take on this concept of, is this race really down to who's voting for, what people remember as being financial stability in 2019 versus that would be a pro-Trump vote, or an anti-Trump vote is I just can't even think about stomaching another 4 years. I'm just wondering if Kamala has turned this race as an indictment or a referendum on Trump, which is a strategy for sure. Sure. I mean, it's not
a little bit of both.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think there are certainly people who just look at Donald Trump and say, there's no way I'm voting for him. They look at January 6th and say, that's just unforgivable. And a variety of other things as well. I just try to deal with the economic facts. That's my job as a surrogate, to get those out there. And I think when you look at the economic facts, Kamala Harris is better for your bank account. Kamala Harris is better for your net worth. People talk about the $25,000 down payment assistance, and as if it's inflationary. What they don't know, though, is there are cities, hundreds of cities across the country that already have it in place at various numbers. Like the city of Houston, they already have one for $50,000 down payment assistance. So, A, it's not going to be inflationary, but B, it's going to help first-time home buyers finally get back into the market. And you know as well as anybody that when that happens, if your house appreciates, that's your equity. That's how you grow your net worth for most families. And so that's a real positive. I guess I just don't think people realize that it was already so prevalent, and, it's across the country.
I've got about 30 seconds with Mark Cuban. Mark, do you feel that however this race turns out tonight or tomorrow or the end of this week here when we find out, are we going to be able to come together as a nation, as a republic again, or is this going to be just tough?
I can't speak for what happens from the Trump side, but I know in talking to Kamala and to her campaign that she has said many times she'll put a Republican on her in her cabinet, that she wants people at the table who disagree with her. And let me just say, I'm not a Democrat. I didn't give a penny to her campaign. I'm a business guy who felt like I could contribute and give ideas. Some of them she said yes to, some of them she said no to. So I know she's open-minded and really wants to bring people together. And, if Donald Trump wins, I hope the same thing happens. So I personally, obviously, I feel that Kamala Harris is the best choice. Please go to the polls. I think they close at 7 p.m. Vote for Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, 8 o'clock? Okay.
Yep.
Go to the polls. They close at 8 p.m. Please vote for Kamala Harris. I think that's what's best for the country.
Mark Cuban of Shark Tank and the Dallas Mavs, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time, sir.
Thanks for the time, Joe. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the questions. They were great questions.
All right. And stay in touch, buddy. We'd love to hear from you. Take care now.
Yes, sir.
Take care now. Bye-bye. Appreciate you tuning in to Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show on our special Election Day coverage on this November 5th, 2024. Could be the most consequential election of our lifetimes. And so what happens? We lose power on our number one signal. So here, if you're looking for Talk Erie on 105.9, it is off the air right now due to a tree falling on a power line that took out not only us, but Channel 12, Channel 35, our sister station, WCTL, and multiple other stations that operate off that tower. So it's as we would say in Nashville, they're fixing to get that back up very soon. And we're getting ready for full coverage. I mean, heck, it started, right? Well, it's been all day, and it'll continue on through the evening. Our Trevor producer, Shady Bills, is with us. Our political guru, Dean Pepicello, is with us. You can join us at 814-679-1080. We've also invited candidates to call in. We're going to be hearing from Senator Casey here in just a little bit, and hope to hear from the remainder of those that are running for office here in a bit. And so, I'm just wondering, if people are between polling places and so on. We'd love for you to call in and tell us about your in-person voting experience or your mail-in voting experience, because I know a lot of folks did mail them in. And, I would think that there was a majority of the mail voters didn't have a problem. But that's only if they applied real early. And there was wasn't there one day of a shipment that kind of vanished or something, Dean? Well, they talk about the October 8th.
I mean, I literally just got a text from an Erie County person who applied on October 8th for their mail-in ballot, and it showed up today. Oh. That person lives out of town, cannot be here to vote today on Election Day, wasn't able to come up and early vote. I want to know what the number ends up being of disenfranchised voters in Erie County. It's going to be substantial. I know several people personally that simply are unable to do this. They're out of town. They couldn't get home in time. They were told repeatedly, it's in the mail, it's on its way. Mail-in balloting is a disaster. At least it is in this county at the moment. It has been a disaster. They've done their best, and I don't blame the election office. I blame the company that was hired. But this has been a problem. There are lots of disenfranchised voters in what is arguably the most important election in a lot of people's lifetimes. And it is problematic. I hope that the legislature gets to work after this and changes this. There has to be a better way. If the argument always is from the pro mail-in people, we want to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. Well, you're making it hard to vote for a lot of people right now, and you're making it easy to cheat with the possibility of ballot harvesting and these things that go on. Who got their ballot, who didn't? I'd love a rundown of who these people are. What was their party? Where are they at? How did this happen? There needs to be a full-scale investigation. This is problematic, and it's a shame for a county that's one of 3 or 4 of the counties in the country that are being looked at here as bellwethers. So
there's no doubt. Let's grab a phone call here. Hi, you're live on Talk Erie. Hello.
Hey, Joel, just real quick, since you had Cuban on, okay? So in 2019, Biden ran on the same thing, that he was going to, anybody who made $400,000 or less was going to get a tax break. That didn't happen, did it? Hello?
There were no. I'm not aware of a tax break.
Yeah, that whole legislation has never gone through. That whole thing, right?
But that's what Biden ran on, and that's what he's trying to convince people that Harris is going to do.
Right.
Mark Cuban did say
so
that.
I just wanted to make that point. I also want to say that Mark Cuban is very, very jealous of Donald Trump. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
I find it hard to believe that the Democrats are going to cut taxes. It's not what they do. They haven't done it in modern history. Donald Trump did cut taxes. certainly at the legislature to do that as well. I'm fascinated, Joel, by this whole campaign. I think at the end of the day, so both campaigns are essentially over at this point, the national campaigns, at least. And I think both campaigns ran the exact campaign that they wanted to. I think Donald Trump should be pretty happy with his campaign. I think he separated himself from the policies of the last 4 years. He's pointed out how it's been different. He's pointing out, I think, a hopeful future. He's done his usual stick. Entertaining enough, but I think he's gotten his message out. But I think the Harris campaign has done everything they could possibly do for a campaign that was, 100
days old,
100
right?
days or something. They've raised $1 billion, which is easy to do from Hollywood and George Soros and some of those things. But they've done it. Their message has been, we're not Donald Trump. That's about the only message you can have given the state of the country. And don't take this wrong, she's flip-flopped on significant issues and come to the middle, if not to the right. She just has.
Yeah.
On the border control and immigration, on fracking, on EV mandates, right? She has come to the middle. I don't know how anyone today can go to the polls and say, I know what I'm voting for. If you're a Democrat, I don't know how they can do that. I know that they can say what they're voting against. And I think most people are going to the polls for that today. I've had a number of conversations with people who are simply saying, I don't like this guy, I'm not voting for him. But when you engage them in conversation, they don't seem to be able to articulate what it is they're voting for. It may be enough. It may be enough. We will see as the night goes on. Everything still continues to be stacked against Harris. All the betting markets are against her. This incumbency is fairly bad, right? The times are bad, inflation, all the things historically, all of these things tend to be against her. But I think the polls are probably pretty close at this point. I still think it's a toss-up. I think North Carolina, Arizona is certainly leaning Trump by almost 2% at this point.
Yeah.
Michigan, Wisconsin probably leaning Harris. Pennsylvania is it. I think Pennsylvania decides the election. No doubt tonight. I think
every scenario that like Steve Kornacki puts out there, or what's the guy from CNN, Irwin or something like that. Like it everything goes through PA.
Like we knew it, but now we know it.
Now we know it.
There's no doubt. I think now who knows? Again, it could go either way. We don't know. The voters will make this decision. But
you don't need Nevada, for example.
It doesn't
more
look
than
that
likely
way.
North Carolina and Georgia go to Trump.
Right.
And so she needs to sweep the blue wall. Like, I mean, it's like a full, isn't it like a full straight or she needs a full house?
She's got to win 2 or 3 for sure.
Yeah.
Assuming he sweeps the Sun Belt. I don't know if Georgia's a given. I know a lot of people think that. I'm not sure about that. I mean, we'll see what the turnout.
You would think it would be.
I'd like to know what the turnout around Atlanta is. You know, if it's higher, I'd like to see that. But it looks more and more all the way to the end like Pennsylvania literally is the be-all, end-all. I hope that the Pennsylvania decision can come tonight. But they're going to count 1 million ballots between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. or however long it takes them tonight. I really hope that they get a winner tonight. I think that would help with the integrity of the election if we can decide a winner tonight, if it's contested. I mean, obviously, if it goes one way or the other significantly, then it's fairly easy. Nothing will surprise me tonight, by the way. Nothing at all. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I don't feel any surprise.
Nothing at all. Maybe a Harris, maybe a blue wave. Again, because of all the things historically working against her.
You know what would surprise me is if the R's like sweep the Senate. Like if you see Tester go down and Brown go down and Casey go down, which again we're about to talk to Senator Casey right now. I mean, that would be shocking. We already know that West Virginia is going to go to the R way.
If those things happen, then Trump will sweep. You know that.
I guess it is a corollary, isn't it?
He'll have an easier time winning those states than the senators you just mentioned. Like Trump's going to win Ohio by far more than Bernie Moreno could ever win it by.
Casey's resilience, to his part, his resilience is proving, at least seemingly proving to be quite strong. You know.
Without a doubt.
I mean, he's leading in the polls by 3. Maybe. But compared to Kamala, is a dead heat. That's what's shocking.
Yeah, but it's all within the margin of error.
Yeah.
It really is. But if Casey loses and Sherrod Brown loses, it will be an incredible night for the Republicans. I mean, Trump certainly will win those states. I don't see. Can Trump win the state, but Casey win the state, Pennsylvania? I don't think that happens.
Yeah, that would be an interesting split, wouldn't it?
So if those senators, those contested Maryland, Nevada, Arizona, some of these contested, if they end up going R, oh my gosh, it would be. I just don't. I'm not sure the country's there. But that would be an incredible
What'd
night.
you think of Kamala's event in Philly last night, or does it ring any bells or no?
I'm going to tell you, they have done everything they can do. I think that campaign was tremendous. I mean, they can't run on a record. How do you run a national race and not run on your record? It's been very tough. I think that campaign has done everything they can do.
Let's go right back to the phones. I think this might be Senator Casey. Senator, are you with us, sir?
Yes, how have you been?
I'm doing well. Happy Election Day to you.
Thanks, same to you, and really appreciate you taking time.
Yeah, tell us what you're feeling here. Where do we catch you, and what's it like at the polls that you're sensing?
Well, I don't have any exact numbers, but it seems like across the state turnout's high everywhere.
Yeah.
You don't know. I don't think at this stage of the day you don't know whether that turnout favors one side or the other. But look, I'm hoping that we have a huge turnout and that we hit, a total Pennsylvania vote of 7 million or more, because last time, 4 years ago, it was about 6.9 million. So hitting 7 or higher would be great.
Does this feel like 2008 to you at all, Senator? As far as kind of that electric moment when Barack won Pennsylvania and the rest of the country.
Well, I think there are some parallels in terms of intensity. I don't know if that's a way to forecast the result, but there's no question it's going to be a big vote, and we'll see how it turns out. I just hope that folks who are still thinking about voting will get out and vote, and even if there's a long line, if they'll and just ask them respectfully to be really patient, because I think there are long lines in a lot of places, but we just hope people will be able to stay in line and cast their vote. The good news is I think we're going to have, and I know that the hard work that's been done at the local, county, state, and federal level to make sure that we have a safe, secure, free, and fair election. So I think we're going to have a good vote, and we'll count every vote.
Let's talk about your candidacy. Do you feel like your final argument is breaking through, Senator Casey?
Well, I do think that by now people know the difference between the two candidates, and also I think they have a sense of what's at stake in a race like this, both at the national level and here in Pennsylvania. And as folks are trying to make a decision, I ask them to consider my record of delivering for the people of our state. I think, Joel, you and I have talked before about some of the examples I have. Just in Erie County alone, 45 different examples of investments in the county, and that means everything from infrastructure investments to economic development to public safety to education. K through 12 schools in Erie County received over $128 million, and that's federal investment in our schools that we've never seen before. And I think that kind of investment is, I think, what people should expect from a senator who delivers for the people of our state. The other side, it's a different story, because my opponent wasn't in the state. He was running a hedge fund while I was delivering for the people. So I think people know those differences. I think they know that a lot is at stake on rights, whether it's voting rights and workers' rights, women's rights. I think they know that all that's on the line.
We had kind of a Senate hour yesterday where we talked to Senator Ernst and we talked to Senator Booker and Senator Fetterman. I'd like to get your take on the state of the Senate nationally. Are you confident that the Democrats could hold the upper chamber, or is it going to be a tough one for you guys?
I always have confidence, but of course I don't know enough about those other states to be sure. So
okay.
It's more, I want to be honest. I don't know. People say, what's happening in Ohio or Montana? And I say to them candidly, I don't know, because I don't know the dynamics in those states. I know Pennsylvania, but I don't know those states.
Right.
But it seems like we're going to have a number of close races tonight and into tomorrow. We may not have a result. It's likely we won't have a result until the middle of the night at the earliest.
when you think about the four corners of Pennsylvania, of the Commonwealth, Pittsburgh, Philly, Scranton, and Erie, are we confident that that everybody's is fully franchised, that the elections are going to be that we're not going to have too many problems or so on? I'm hearing about Cambria County and issues down there and so on. What's your take on that?
Yeah, look, I think in the end, all of those issues will have a remedy. In other words, apparently in one or two counties, Canberra being one, when there's a problem and there's a problem with the ballot or things are slowed down, the county can petition a federal court and extend the hours. So I think that's probably going to happen in a few counties, where instead of closing the polls at 8, they give them another hour, another 2 hours, so that people who might have had their vote held up in the morning can still vote and have a little more time at the end of the day if they had to. So I think there's going to be a remedy for that. But I think the protections that are in place for a free and fair and safe and secure election, I think, are in place.
3.5 hours to go here in Pennsylvania. Give your final exhortation, if you will, Senator Casey, for folks to get to the polls if they haven't.
Well, Joel, thank you. And I'm saying this respectfully. I'd ask people to consider my record of delivering for the people of our state, whether it's in delivering in communities for infrastructure, whether it's roads and bridges and high-speed internet and water and sewer projects, and also delivering for families by providing a robust child tax credit for our families, that we have to, if anything, bring back the more robust version in 2025 that helped families across the state. 2.2 million families benefited from that. They're raising kids every day, helping to pay for food, and also delivering on capping the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors and capping the out-of-pocket costs. That'll happen this January. For the first time, you have a $2,000 cap for seniors' prescription drugs. Delivering on the PACT Act for our veterans who served near those awful toxic burn pits. Now we're getting health care for the first time, more than 32,000 in Pennsylvania. Delivering pension relief for more than about 60,000 union pensioners across the state. And also investing in communities and in people and in families. And I think it's a strong record. And it's also, I think, a record of one who's going to continue to fight on behalf of basic rights, the rights of workers to join and form a union, the rights of women to have control of over their own reproductive health care, and also basic voting rights to make sure that we have a basic standard across America where everybody can vote and we have free and fair elections and a strong democracy. So I'm grateful to have the opportunity to run again, and whatever the verdict, I'm a very lucky man to have had the chance to run again for the United States Senate and to ask for the vote of the people.
Senator Bob Casey, the senior senator from Pennsylvania here, running for re-election today. Thank you so much for taking the time, sir. Really appreciate it.
Phil, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
All righty, it is 4:25, and it's Talk Erie. All right, it's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, and we have an update on our broadcast signal for our 105.9. It is on low power, a couple hundred watts, and so that's enough to maybe, you might not be able to penetrate into a strong building, but you should be able to hear in the car. So try that 105.9. If not, the stream is always there, solid at talkerie.com or on the app. Okay, but again, I feel like I'm shouting into the wind because if you can't hear me, you can't hear me. But we're on limited power here, folks.
I would have Bob Casey. I would have liked to have him comment on two things. One, he didn't attend the Harris rally in Erie. It's a big state, and I get
Why
it.
do you think that he didn't do that?
Well, again, and he has a commercial wrapping himself in Donald Trump policies.
Yeah.
He just that's a decision he made. I think it was conscious. I'm not, you don't have to put him on the spot on election day to do that, but I think it was a conscious decision. I think they're worried about the numbers that certainly they were seeing a few weeks ago in the presidential race. For one, and the fact that he's literally tied himself to, by name, mentioned Donald Trump in supporting certain policies. So he's come to the middle too.
Are you? Here's what I'm hearing. I'm not hearing exuberance from the Harris campaign.
Really?
Are you?
Last few days.
Did you hear that from Cuban though?
I think he was trying to make the case.
It's kind of more of an economic case.
Yeah, he stayed on that. I didn't agree with most of it, and I don't. I'm not saying he's fibbing, but I think they're exaggerating. Whatever, it is what it is. But he made their case. No, I think excitement the last couple of days.
Well, because I felt like I felt like she ended stronger than Trump.
Over the last few days.
Yeah, I'm talking about the last 72 hours.
You'd still rather be him than her, right? You would rather be him, all things considered, that we've talked about here for weeks. I think you'd rather be him than her. But you're not going to hear them say that. They can't go out and not feel enthusiastic. Democrats have to go out and say, we feel pretty good about it, right? There's nobody goes out and says, well, I'm going to lose. This was fun. For those of you who haven't voted, don't worry about it because I'm getting my tail handed to me. I would think you're going to hear enthusiasm from both campaigns. I thought that's what
I still think it's a razor's edge. I do. And it's just so different. Like, you knew that H.W. Bush was not going to make it, by 4 o'clock.
Which was incredible because he led that race by like 70-30 a month before.
In 1992, right?
And then it was,
again,
read my lips. And
we're old stooges.
I love it. Isn't it great?
It's historic, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on all 3 signals with low power on 105.9. Try us and tune us in here on Talk Erie. Jim, is that you, sir? Oh. Jim, is that you, brother?
That's me.
All right, stand by. We're 30 seconds, man. Stay with me.
Okay, you got it.
Okay, thanks. You're tuned to Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, 434 from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here on this special Election Day coverage. We are just talking to candidates, we're talking to surrogates, and on the phone with us right now is the Democratic nominee for State Senate 49th Senatorial District, Jim Wertz. Good to hear from you, sir. How's things going on at the polls for you?
Well, it's been a busy day, Joel. The polls have heavy traffic all day, and I think that's a great sign for Erie County, great sign for Pennsylvania.
Let's talk about the Get Out the Vote effort by the Democrats. Again, you had along with Democratic headquarters, Harris Walls had their own place. There was another place where people were, doing phone calling, canvassing, getting the signs out. Again, you've been in politics a while. Have you ever seen this kind of effort, at least from the Democrat side?
Well, I think this is certainly one of the most robust efforts that we've had in a long time. On any given day in Erie County for the last few months, Democrats collectively have been knocking a couple thousand doors today and maybe making a couple 100,000 phone calls. Just yesterday, my campaign knocked 941 doors and made 21,000 phone calls in a single day. So, wow. I mean, that's been the kind of daily grind for the past few weeks. And I think it goes to show the level of enthusiasm for our campaigns up and down the ballot. And it also shows the commitment because, listen, we don't do this just with our staffs alone. We don't do this with any individual. This is a massive group effort. And in addition to all of our wonderful Erie volunteers, we've had folks come in almost every day, show up at any campaign office door. As you mentioned, there are several. They've showed up at every door and said, hey, how can we help? We drove in for the day from Buffalo. We know how important Erie, Pennsylvania is, and we came down from Rochester. And so just to know the role that we're playing in the national spotlight as well as here in Pennsylvania is, I think, encouraging and rewarding for everybody.
The last 72 hours and certainly the last, 3.5, 4 hours, it's all about the final argument. Is the message breaking through? Talk about your final argument, and do you feel like you're being heard?
Well, listen, yeah, I do think we're being heard. I think the voters that we've talked to, both on the phones and on the doors, have been incredibly receptive. These are people who read the news, people who have been paying attention. And I think in many levels, since 2020, folks, your average voter who maybe was just showing up at the polls and voting for a party are looking more and more at individual candidates. And I think voters have been offered a real contrast between a candidate that likes to talk and tout some accomplishments and folks of action. And this campaign has been one of action, and I think gives people confidence in the kind of legislator I would be as well.
All right, you're a data guy. I'd like to know, for the 49th, what precincts? Are you looking for like an overwhelming turnout for you in the city, and then kind of try to endure the county, or you're hoping for every precinct? What's your strategy? Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I've been I'm a firm believer that the margins matter, and so we have taken a countywide approach, just as we did the last 6 years during my tenure as chairman of the Democratic Party, making sure that our folks out in Union City and Northeast and the people in Edinboro and Albion all knew that the party was there to support them. And of course, as we've talked about before, Joel, we have that field office in Union City. Right. We have that field office in Northeast. They've been open since 2022 and continue to organize and make sure that Democrats out there know who our candidates are and have a place to interact with our campaigns. And I think that that's what makes the big difference at the end of the day. We will see, I think, significant turnout in the city of Erie this year. Or earlier today, I was at several polling locations where there were lines out the door and folks waiting across Mill Creek. This morning at Bell Valley, there was a 45-minute wait to get in to vote. So thank God for this 80-degree day that we had today. Right? A gorgeous election day. I remember some that were blustery and cold with snow and rain and everything else. This we couldn't have asked for a better day if there were going to be lines at the polls. Thank God this is our day. And I think I don't know who at the end of the day will be the beneficiary of this turnout, but I do believe that it's an indication that there will be a wave in one direction or another. And so in a little more than 3.5 hours, we'll start to figure out the back end.
Jim Wirtz is with us. He's the Democrat nominee for the 49th Senatorial District. Give an exhortation for those that are, maybe, they're watching Judge Judy or whatever, and they have not voted. Give them a little push.
Well, listen, we have some critically important issues on the ballot this year, up and down the ballot, and particularly at the state level. Folks often say to me, I don't like the way that government works. I don't like the way that things have been running here in Pennsylvania. And I remind them that one party has been in control of the state Senate for the last 30 years, and one party has been in control of the state House for the better part of the last 40 years, with the exception of maybe 6 years in there. So I think this is an opportunity for people who have been unhappy with their property taxes, folks that have been unhappy with the quality of education, to really dig in and make a difference. And that's the kind of contrast that we've offered voters this year. And I think I'm hopeful that voters have heard that message and are going to get there and choose to start a new chapter with us.
There's Jim Wirtz, again, the Democratic nominee for the 49th Senatorial District. We wish you well, sir. Stay safe. Last few hours here.
Thanks so much.
Have fun tonight. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye. I think we've got another candidate on the line here. Hi, you're live on Talk Erie of the Joel Natale Show.
Hey, Joel, it's Mike Kelly. How are you?
How are you, Representative Kelly, Congressman Kelly? Again, running for re-election here in Pennsylvania 16. What are you seeing here up and down the 79 corridor?
You know what? A great turnout. Between the early voting and today, they're predicting maybe one of the greatest turnouts we've ever had.
Wow!
So I think that looks good. I mean, the fact that the people were engaged and looking, and I hope we're looking the right way at candidates and saying, okay, fine, who do I want representing me? What's their background? What does it look like? What have they done in their life, and why would I want them representing us? So I think it's. We'll see how it turns out. I mean, nobody knows for sure on any of these things, but I'm glad that there's a big turnout, and we'll see. And I don't think we'll know tonight on a lot of the elections, but I think maybe by tomorrow or early Thursday we will. But a lot of ballots to be counted.
I got to ask you, and again, I have a little bit of empathy, or I have a lot of empathy for you, Congressman Kelly, because. You on July 13th, you were in the middle of the maelstrom, right? It's your district.
Yes.
It's your hometown. The president comes to your hometown, and he was nearly assassinated. It was just maybe one of the most unthinkable things that could ever happen to a fellow like you, a public servant. He's in the district. I mean, it was a moment of pride and then absolute tragedy. How did you hold up through this election season? Seriously.
Yeah, well, because and it's good when you talk about Butler. Butler was once known as the home of the Jeep, where the Jeep was first developed. That down at Pullman Standard, it was Standard Car Company back then. They were the first ones to develop an all-terrain vehicle, which became a big staple for the way our armies have fought since then. Yeah. So we were always known as the home of the Jeep. Now we're going to be known as the time where President Trump was the assassination attempt took place on Donald Trump. So for that day, I think I was there. My worry that day, my wife, 3 of our grandchildren, and my one son were all there with me. They were sitting in a different place. And when this started off, it just seemed so realistic. And I thought, are those fireworks? And then you saw the president grab the side of his head and go down. And then behind me, Corey Compatore, and you hear people say, oh, my gosh, he's hurt. And it was just like it just kept going. You were like trying to figure out what in the world is going on right now. And it's one of those things that, you're not going to forget. It's going to stick with you. I was concerned about my grandchildren, and they've seemed to have weathered the storm pretty good on this. And they said, yeah, Grandpa, why would anybody want to do that to President Trump? And it was little Charles that asked me. I said, Charles, I can't answer that. I can't answer. He says, well, that's just crazy, Grandpa. That's crazy. Now, this is a 9-year-old child, and he was trying to, in some way in his own mind, figure it out. And you can't. You really can't. You can't come to grips with that. You can't understand what it is that makes people do things like that or pushes them to that point. And I know we've talked about the rhetoric and we've talked about the just the whole environment now. These used to be much different. People would go out and vote. It was a much different world at that time. It was a different culture in America at that time. I just think now that people were just they're spring-loaded to the max, and it's like they're just waiting for that hair trigger to go off. And I really believe there's got to be a way for people to start just calm down. This we're going to continue to have elections. Let's just make sure we do everything we can to ensure that they're fair and they're free, and that the people at the end of that can accept that. It's when you have all these questions and there's no answers. And I got to tell you, with the July 13th thing, the longer we look into this task force, and I'll try and stay in touch with you on this, it is really difficult for the members of the task force to be looking at what happened on July 13th. And at the end of the day, and you and I have talked about this, after everything, and they being the Secret Service, that's who was in charge that day, every single thing that you would think would be check to make sure this is safe, check to make sure this is safe. Can we communicate? Yes. No. Well, no, we can't. Well, what do you mean we can't? Well, we can't. And everything about that was like up in the air, and said you can't fail on that many parts of it. And then at the end of it, and my question is always, was for at least an hour and maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, the constant conversation between everybody in law enforcement that day was, there's a suspicious person on the ground. There's a suspicious person. He's over here. Oh, no, he's not. He's over here. No, he's got a rangefinder. Oh, he's looking over at the post. All these different things, and you're thinking to yourself, so if you weren't sure, don't you think you should have said to former President Trump, you know what, sir, there's a suspicious person out there. We have not been able to zero in on him yet. Let's just stay inside until we make sure it's safe and secure. I don't know why he was allowed to go out on that podium. And as you look back on it now, this just doesn't make sense. I can see where you missed on a couple things, but when you missed on everything, and then we know now that Secret Service already knew they had information about a possible assassination by the Iranians, and there's this hit list that the Iranians have out on our government officials. It says who's coordinating the effort here? Who's communicating? And to me, it's just like this is the most elite group in the world, supposedly, to be able to safeguard people. And when they fail, then you've got to think, well, why did you fail? And why did you fail on that day? And why did you fail in every single way that day?
It feels like, when you guys, when your task force gets to the bottom of this, there's going to be a lot more safety. Our dignitaries will literally be more safe because you'll nip in the bud some of these poor practices. I want to kind of put this in a bow here. The idea of of where Pennsylvania goes tonight? Are you feeling a strong Trump win? Are you feeling a strong Kelly win? Where are you at?
Well, the numbers would suggest that there's been such a great turnout, and I'm not. You're never sure until it's all over. I would hope that the voters would look at the years that we put in service to the district, and they would say, okay, fine, we've got some running footage on you. My opponent has absolutely no experience in anything. You'd like to think that people would say, I think this team has done a really good job and would like to retain them. And on the presidential end of it, I just think the bigger the turnout, the more interesting it's going to be as to who turned out and why did they turn out. And like 2016, and you and I had this conversation before, are we going to see more people turn out this year that had not voted in the last big election? And what generated that turnout? What are they seeing that they're not happy with? And you would like to think that the last almost 4 years now have not been good for the American people. Inflation and immigration and walking away from our domestic energy supplies. And I just don't understand why we weakened ourselves so much across the world. And in a world right now that it is in grave danger, we've got enemies watching this election and thinking, well, depending on the turnout of this, we'll know the direction we're going to go. And so I'm hoping everybody's paying attention, and I'm hoping everybody's thinking widespread is not so much like a student council election or the senior queen, but let's just take a look at what is in the best interest. Because when I talk to people, Joe, it's odd. Yes. They'll say, I'm not sure on Trump because he said some things that bothered me. I said, but his policy.
On style points versus policy, right? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and when people say, no, I just the way he talks sometimes bothers me. I said, but policy. Are we safer? Were we sounder? Was our economy stronger? Were we energy independent? All of these things that are a crisis and everything in our life. And inflation. What do you look at? And it's like, it's more like a personality thing. Now, the people that like President Trump, which I'm one of them, I just like the fact when you look at the running footage and you look at the game films during the Trump presidency and compare them to the Biden presidency, you'd have to say, boy, this is the difference between night and day. This is the difference between a strong and healthy and successful America and one that's trying to find her way to get back on track again. I'm hoping people are looking at it that way and looking at the overall picture of what's in the best interest of America and what's in the best interest of the world. When America's strong, the world is safe. When America's weak, not only is the world weak, America is weak, and we're prone to people taking a look at us and think, you know what, maybe this is the time that we should be more aggressive with America because maybe she can't defend herself the way she has in the past, because she certainly hasn't. When you look at some of the things that happened, the withdrawal from Afghanistan and the other things that have taken place in the last 3.5 years, you got to wonder who is quarterbacking this and how strong are they and what is their commitment to the American people going forward. So I'm hoping we get people thinking about things that way. Forget about your party. Think about your country.
We'll leave it there. Congressman Mike Kelly, the Republican incumbent for Pennsylvania 16. Thank you so much for taking the time. Be safe out there. Really appreciate it, sir.
Thanks so much, Joel. Thank you.
It is 4:51 here on Talk Erie. Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. 4:56. All right. We are down to our last 3 hours of the polls being open. Get out and vote. And we want to hear from callers. We're back on the air at 105.9, albeit on low power, and that looks like that's going to be the case overnight. If you have access to our stream, go to talkerie.com, click Listen Live Now button. It's also on Live 365. Just look for WZTE or Talk Erie. You can also ask Alexa to play Talk Erie on your smart speaker if you're having trouble getting the 105.9 signal. What else? And we're also, right now, we're live on YouTube and Facebook. So Dean Pepicello is with us. Shaney Bills is with us. Dean, again, we've had one politician after another here. Everybody's optimistic. Again, I'm going to ask you, kind of heard it in Senator Casey's voice, a little circumspect. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I think that's who he is.
Yeah, he's not going to be hype, is he?
Right. Generally, I thought it was an interesting thing for him to say that I'm lucky to serve. Not retrospective, not.
I'm looking forward to the next 6 years.
He didn't really say that. He just said I'm lucky to serve and lucky to run in this campaign. I thought that was an interesting statement, but it's also, there's a certain humility, I think, there.
Right.
I thought that's the sense I got in the statement, but I found that statement to be curious. I think what Mike Kelly just said is no idea. Like, no idea. All these people are turning out. Turnout might be the largest turnout ever. So you have no idea what to expect. This is what we talked about in hour number one. Who are these people? Where are they in the off years? And what is their opinion today? Nobody knows. Like, Mike Kelly's going to win, right? I mean, come on. But even he has no idea.
We don't know anything about Preston Norrie. He didn't come on the air with us. It would have been nice to kind of know what his policy ideas were.
That's not a good play, but whatever. That's their campaign's decision. But I think the more important thing is Mike Kelly saying, "I really don't know, man." Like, and everybody feels
he
that
doesn't
way.
know, and like he doesn't know about Trump in PA 16, which you would think
Bob Casey doesn't know.
It would be super red in PA 16, right?
Yeah, it's just you would, if they knew, you would know it. People want to back a winner. You want to go out and say, "Get on my team because I'm going to win."
Yeah.
And they can't, they don't know because of the high turnout and not knowing who these people are. It's fascinating study in politics,
no doubt,
in Pennsylvania right now.
All right, we got to get ready for our break. I'm going to promote this because I'm super excited. Tulsi Gabbard, the former congressman or senator?
She was a congressperson.
Congressperson from Hawaii. Now, with the Trump campaign, she's calling in to the Joel Natale Show here in little old Erie, PA, coming up here at the top of the hour. So stay with us. Again, the hits just keep on coming on this amazing, situation that we're at here on Talk Erie. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale. Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. We are live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. I've got a full house in here with Dean Pepicello, our political guru, and our intrepid producer, Shani Bills. We're waiting on our next guest here. And again, as we promoted, we're waiting on Tulsi Gabbard. I don't know if she's, this side of the Pacific. Probably not in Hawaii, right?
I don't care. I'm so fired up. Let's go. Where's she at?
All right. So, hey, okay, you've been in this situation, right?
Yep.
Less than 3 hours till the polls close.
Yep.
What are these candidates feeling? Are they nervous or what?
No. At this point, it is exhaustion, without a doubt, exhaustion like you've never experienced, and relief. And
like that, it's
those two
almost
things.
over.
Yep.
Yeah.
You are not nervous now. It is out of your hands. You have done everything you can do. I think you'll see candidates, even talking to them today, they're fairly relaxed, right? I mean, they're talking about what they may or may not know at this point, but no, that's what it is.
All right, I'm gonna grab Uncle Pete here now. Pete, I want to tell you that if Tulsi calls, I'm gonna drop you like a rock. Okay?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Well, if she calls, would you tell her? I have a crush on her.
Pete, you have a crush on every female species.
Well, listen.
This is the guy that will talk to the when he's at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. He's talking to the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders or something like that, right? Didn't you have a conversation? Yeah, didn't you have a conversation with a cheerleader?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, was it Pittsburgh?
I was at I talked with a Ravens cheerleader. She was right behind me. It was fun. She was so interesting and. Other things too. Anyway.
Oh my word. Keep going,
awesome.
Pete.
It's the greatest call ever.
First, let me say hi to Dean. And Dean, thank you for liking my American flag on Facebook. Hardly anybody did. I was shocked. I thought, I took a very, positive approach. And hardly anybody responded.
Well, I think
that was a little shocking.
I think there are some, particularly in the far left, who think that the flag is a symbol of MAGA only, and I'm not buying that.
No, I don't buy.
You don't? Some, I said.
Right, but Kamala has had multiple flags behind her.
Oh, I understand that. I'm just saying some.
Well, of course, you have to drape yourself in the flag, right, to be a politician.
Pete,
what do I want to say? Metaphorically speaking. Anyway,
so Pete, we're together as paisans, with Dino and me and Shani's she's an honorary Italiana.
She's an honorary Italian.
Well, and her her family's is the Italians in Newcastle. They're
Oh, really?
There's a big Italian contingent in Newcastle, right?
Yes, very much so.
I'm saying, Shani, do you have Italian blood?
I do not have Italian blood.
It's
not
by
any,
marriage.
But it's all by marriage. My aunt married all Italian men.
Right.
In Newcastle.
Well,
so let me
wise those women.
Let me tell this story. Let me tell this story.
They're good guys.
Yes.
All right.
So here's the story. We were visited by Italian TV last week. They did a
RAI?
No, a Mediaite, the commercial network.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
And they a reporter from Rome and two freelancers that from New York were here, and the photographer, the videographer, Pete. She could be one of our cousins from the Natale side.
Really?
She has roots in Sicily. It was like unreal.
Why don't you call me?
I should have had you come down with the bolognese.
I would have loved that.
You could have made some bolognese, brought it to them. Well, they're here in Erie. They did a stand up. I think Bob Mursky said the Italians were at Joanna Connell, so they were doing a stand up there. And they're broadcasting. The Europe is over the moon right now in their addiction to the U.S. election.
I know. I got a message from our cousin Enzo in Agrigento, Sicily, I told you about my conversation in Florence, which really was eye-opening. And so, yeah, that's fantastic, isn't it? You know, the whole Erie connection to this election is just it's incredible. It's unbelievable how much national media, the first thing I wanted to talk to you about was just to congratulate you for having, and Shani too, because I'm sure she played a major role, all of these major political figures calling into the show. I've caught 3 of them. You know, I was walking Ruby's dog and listening, and here's Cuban. You're talking to Cuban.
Yep.
It was amazing. So congratulations on all of that, both of you. Secondly, I caught Trump's gag. What do they call that, Joe? He had a gaggle after he voted, right? Let me tell you, that just kind of reinforced, and you know, you can take this for what you want. I'm sure some of your listeners won't agree, but he does what his opponent has failed to do this whole election. He stood there, took every question. Nobody picked out the reporters. He didn't have an aide there, you know, with a list or whatever they do. He just answered all their questions. I'll tell you what, that was the most rational and articulate that I've heard him this whole election. If he would take that approach to, you know, his candidacy, I mean, you know, he still had a few barbs.
Right.
He was funny at points, you know, just the way he is.
Well, that's what they were saying about the Joe Rogan. 3 hours with Joe Rogan. And he,
3 hours.
You know, and he sounds, you know, coherent. Hey, Pete, I love you, brother, but I got somebody more important on the other line. There? Tulsi's here.
All right, tell Tulsi I said hi.
Okay, we'll do. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Let's stand by here. Hello, you are live on Talk Erie. How are you?
Hi, good. This is Tulsi Gabbard calling.
I thought you might be. Welcome to Erie and the Joel Natale Show, Tulsi. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you very much. It's good to join you on this very big and important day.
All right, Erie, Pennsylvania. What comes to mind here? Because it's about as opposite of Honolulu as you could get here, but really, a lot of interest, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the outcome of the vote tonight for Pennsylvania is critical. I've not been to Erie before, but I've talked to a number of folks from there and done interviews with some of your local media there, and obviously the independent-minded people of Erie will have a major role in the outcome of which way Pennsylvania goes in tonight's election.
Can you tell me if again you're representing the Trump-Vance campaign? Can you tell me if Donald Trump's final argument is breaking through here in this, let's say, this last 72 hours?
You know, the final argument, yes, is the short answer. The final argument is really one that speaks to the reality that this election is not about the usual choice we have between Democrats and Republicans, between a battle of different ideas and ways to solve the problems we face. It's much deeper and bigger than that because it has to do with our fundamental God-given rights and freedoms that are enshrined in the Constitution. In Kamala Harris, you have someone who not only is not committed to upholding those rights, she's got a record over the last 4 years and previously in the U.S. Senate of rejecting our First Amendment rights, our right to free speech, freedom of expression, freedom of religion. Article 5 of the Constitution, she was a senator on the Judiciary Committee who attacked and opposed a judicial nominee because he's Catholic and a member of the Knights of Columbus. She found that to be disqualifying for him to serve as a federal judge. She is opposed to our Second Amendment rights. She has played a role while in government to violate our Fourth Amendment right to privacy and protection against warrantless search and surveillance by our government. So, you know, there are a lot of other issues that are extremely important that have to do with the cost of living and secure borders and making sure that we have the opportunity to achieve prosperity in this country and to do so while living in a peaceful and free society. On those issues, there's a great contrast between President Trump and Kamala Harris, where President Trump has a 4-year record of success on every one of those fronts, and Kamala Harris has, unfortunately for the American people who suffered through this, a record of failure for the last 4 years. So when we think about what's most important to us, these are the things that I hope voters are considering if they are still undecided in these final hours before this election night is closed.
We're talking to former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii for Trump Vance. You know, it's funny because the Harris final argument, to hear Cory Booker say it, is that it's all about freedom and opportunity. So, are we bantering about different rights? Because they're saying that Donald Trump is taking away rights, especially women's rights. You're a woman. Can you weigh in on that?
Well, this is the issue that I have with Kamala Harris and her campaign is she says Donald Trump is a threat to freedom. She says that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, a threat to the rule of law, and a person who will weaponize the government and wage lawfare against his political opponents. But in every one of those fronts, she and Joe Biden and their administration is doing the exact opposite of what they are saying. When they talk about freedom, really the only thing that they're referring to in that is a woman's right to have an abortion. They repeat the lie where they say, well, President Trump wants a federal abortion ban, or he wants to ban IVF, and he wants to ban, different types of contraception. All of these things are absolutely false. President Trump opposes a federal national ban on abortion. He simply thinks that a tough and complex question like this needs to be decided in a way that brings it directly to the people who are affected most by leaving it to the states to decide that. My husband and I, we tried to start our own family and ended up using IVF as a last resort means. And while it didn't work out for us, it has worked for many people. President Trump immediately sprung into action to show his support for families' ability to use IVF should they choose to do so. And in fact, he's introduced a policy that he'll implement as president that'll make it far more accessible and affordable for people to be able to do so. The list goes on and on. The bottom line is that when they talk about freedom, they're only talking about one thing. What they're against is our fundamental right to free speech. I've been subject to political retaliation for criticizing Kamala Harris's record and policies. President Trump has been a subject of their political retaliation. Everyday Americans have been subjected to political retaliation simply for exercising our right to free speech. If we allow them to remain in power, we will lose the foundation of what makes our country the greatest country in the world, and that is our freedom.
One more question for Tulsi Gabbard here on the Joel Natale Show. Tulsi, can you talk about, here we are 2 hours and 20 minutes or 40 minutes away from the polls closing in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is the bellwether, could be the decider of this election. And it's not about people being undecided now. It's about whether they're going to vote or not vote, and there's still lots of time to vote. Can you give a closing argument for people to exercise their franchise?
Really, it comes down to this. If you are not happy with the way things are in our country, if you believe in free speech, if you believe that girls should be allowed to play in girls' sports without boys, that boys should not be able to go into girls' locker rooms, if you believe in a president who will stand for peace and work to end wars and who will bring back a thriving economy, then it's important that you cast your vote. For Donald Trump, if you believe that we're not better off today than we were 4 years ago and that we've got a lot of work to do to get back there and to make things even better, then cast your vote for Donald Trump. If you stay home and you decide that your voice will not be heard in this election, then unfortunately you are not taking advantage of the power that our founders placed into our hands, and that is to decide who gets to be our government. They said that our government exists only with the consent of the governed. But if we don't make sure that our voices are heard, then those in power who are abusing their power at the expense of our well-being and that of our families and our communities and our country, then we are the ones who will be responsible for that.
Tulsi Gabbard, thank you for your service, and thank you for joining us here on Talk Erie. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
It's 522 here on Talk Erie. Hello, this is Joel.
Hey, Joel. You accepting calls?
I am. Yeah. Give me a minute, because I'm taking calls from candidates and callers. So yes, hang in there, and I'll be right with you. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. All right, I'm feeling a little, heady here, hearing from Tulsi Gabbard, right? Gabbard, let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Talk Erie. Go ahead.
Hi, Joel. Tulsi Gabbard for president. What do you think?
Oh, it could happen. It could definitely happen. Yeah.
Yeah, from Hawaii. Is she currently serving or formerly serving?
Formerly, yeah.
Formerly, okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Yeah, it was nice to hear what she had to say. So I'm a little dismayed that, again, another election cycle has come and almost gone, and nothing mentioned about all the candidates.
Insofar as, what are you talking about?
Well, there's three more presidential candidates, and none of the media has ever touched on, but they will at the conclusion of the election and say how many votes they got.
You know what?
Every
You know what?
election cycle
That's
happens.
I'm sorry, Tony, but that's on them, don't you think? That's on them. I mean,
On who?
On the candidates.
No, it's on the media.
No,
it's on the media. They got to report it.
Yeah. Dude, I'm sitting here I'm sitting here in the chair. No, I'm just playing tennis with you here for a second. Let me lob it back.
Yeah.
I'm
volley
sitting
back. Yeah, go
here.
ahead.
I'm sitting here, and I've never received a email from an alternative candidate or a piece of paper, a policy position.
Why does it matter?
Jill Stein. It matters a lot because, meanwhile, Kamala Harris has an in-town comm director, multiple people in Western Pennsylvania, and certainly the Trump campaign has their comm people. Where is Jill Stein's comm person? Where is the constitutional guy? Go ahead.
Okay, here's a precedent, and this is, I'm lumping it all together now. This is related, even though it may not sound like it.
Yeah.
But the motorcycle accident that happened the other day, I'm sure the family didn't call a radio station or TV station to let them know what happened, yet that was still reported.
Yeah, it's not the same thing.
In the same sense,
no.
It's a news thing. It's who's running. You got to inform the public who's running.
I mean, to your point, yeah, the media are gatekeepers. There's no doubt about it. This is not this is not the New York Times. This is talk radio in a small market. But I tell you what, all I would have needed to do is, hey, the constitutional candidate for president is coming to town. Would you like to interview him? And said, yeah, we can give him.
The long and
10
short
minutes.
of it.
Yeah. Wrap up.
The long and short of it is media has a lot of money with the two-party viewpoint because A, they're paying a lot of money for advertising, and B, it's exciting. It's like
the binary. You're right.
Hearing about the Pittsburgh and the Browns.
The binary is exciting, but let me tell you, as far as money, at least in this house, it wasn't very much there. I mean, we got some, but it wasn't much. All righty. Thank you, man. Well, good to talk to you. See ya. Bye-bye.
Good night.
All right. Good night. Hey, you're live on Talk here. You got like a minute. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, Kujin. 1 minute. How about the lines this morning?
Yeah. What was when did you vote? Do you know, and how far? What number were you?
I was number 1.
Oh, wow.
And I got there at 6:35, and 2 other cars pulled in right behind me, and I made sure I was up there in first.
Yeah.
Vote at the Dorchester Church.
Yeah.
And the parking lot was full. The street was full.
Seriously. Wow.
Again, to kind of say what you were saying, like the Trump ground game and the people you go to, because he's not a professional politician.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like the Democrat Party. They got stuff set up right away. Boom, boom, boom. They had all the Democrats signs up in the front yard of the church. You know what? I went home.
Yeah.
I went home. I got my Trump sign, and I went and put it over in front of the polling station. I said, well, what the heck? They got all these Democrats. Where's Trump? It's a grassroots thing. And what your brother was saying is exactly right. As much as people don't want to believe it, to hate him or whatever, he's human. He's not sitting there, if I say this, is it going to get this person mad? Or is this going to get this group mad? Or is it going to get this donor mad? He's not thinking like that. He's the normal business guy that is telling you how it is.
Yeah.
Now, some people don't like that. They'd rather have they'd rather hear lies than unpleasant truths. So hopefully tonight the IQ test gets passed and we get a leader in there and not just another puppet that's going to say, here, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that, and it's all false.
All right. I got to leave it there. I am out. Thank you very much.
Trump 2024.
There you go. Oh, they're gone. I didn't touch it. Oh well. Let's see if they come back. I wonder if that was Matt maybe again or.
Mark Cuban, he forgot to say something.
Okay, here they are again. Yeah, hold on. Hello, this is Joel.
Hey, Joel, it's Micah.
Oh, hey, Micah.
Just
Okay.
wanna call in a couple words.
Yeah, a little early. That's good though. I was trying to figure out
Just wanna make sure I didn't miss
your
it.
phone number. Like your phone number is from Washington or something.
Yeah, I've had it for over 20 years since I worked in D.C.
Oh, okay. We thought maybe another senator was calling or something. It's like, oh my gosh, who could be calling now? You know, is it Kamala?
No, it's just Micah.
It's just Micah. All right, no problem. Oh, fantastic. Oh my gosh,
I can
that's
hang
funny.
up if I
No,
want to
you
tie
got
up the line. I just wanted to make sure we got connected.
4 minutes. If you want to hang in there, 4 minutes till we're back live again. Okay.
Absolutely.
How you feeling? How you doing?
I got a lot of sun this morning, but feeling good. Feeling good. People have been really nice. Weather's been awesome. So,
Yeah. Did we hit a? I wonder if we hit a record. You know.
Yeah, I'd love to know. Well, yeah, he thought would be interesting, but I'd love to know turnout wise.
Right,
right. You're much more up to date on the numbers.
Well, Bob Casey was thinking that we might. Bob Casey was thinking we might hit 7 million in the Commonwealth, which would be huge. We might hit 7 million in the Commonwealth, which would be huge. You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Hmm.
All right. Hey, stand by. I'm going to get ready for this. Obviously, we have a pretty good delay on the call for some reason, so I'll try not to step on you. Let me get ready for this. We're on in 3 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes. Thanks.
Yes, sir. I'll be here.
Talk Area, the Joel Natale Show, live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here. And we are continuing our special election coverage. And on the line is the Republican nominee for the 3rd Legislative District for the General Assembly. It's Micah Goring. Micah, I appreciate you joining us, sir.
Hey, Joel, thanks so much for having me on. Great to hear your voice.
Tell me what you're hearing on the polls. I know you've been all around Mill Creek and Fairview today. What are you experiencing? What are you hearing from the voters?
The number one thing I'm hearing is gratitude for this incredible weather we're having.
Yeah.
And beyond that, and the second thing is people are excited to have this almost done with. But I'm hearing a lot of positive responses. A lot of thumbs up, a lot of waves and thank yous, and everyone's being courteous. These poll workers are awesome. They're working through a lot of people, and I've hardly ever seen a line out the door. They're working a lot of people through, but they're getting through quickly. And I've just been very impressed. The people coming in to vote have been fantastic. It's been an awesome experience.
Has it been almost universal by precinct in Mill Creek and Fairview that there's just a ton of turnout?
Yeah, I haven't been to all of them, and I don't have any numbers in front of me. Just a lot of faces, and it's been steady all day long. And you expect things to die down, and of course, comparing to the primary. Which was just incredibly slow, but this has been all day long, a steady trickle. And then, here right now at that First Alliance on Zimmerly, they just turned the parking lights on, and it's been, a steady stream of people. The parking lot's about half full right now, and a lot of people coming in, so it's definitely picking up at this time of day.
That's cool. How about your closing argument? Have you been able to break through in the last, week or 72 hours or so?
Yeah, I mean, the big issues haven't changed, right? We're still paying too much for groceries. We're still paying too much for gas. And, one of the big things I've been focusing on is promoting the trades. And that's not something that's going to change in a week or two. We have, for every 5 skilled tradesmen who retires, only 2 are stepping up to take their place, and that's something we have to address. And one of the ways to do that is through school choice. These are big issues that are going to take a while to resolve, and they don't really go away with the ups and downs of whatever the daily headlines are. These are real issues that people are actually concerned about, and I think the message is making a difference.
Is there? Are you seeing that the electorate is looking for change in the 3rd district there?
Yeah, of course, I might be in a bubble because, my opponent has his people coming up to him and folks voting for me coming up to me, but I'm hearing a lot of people say it's time for a change. A lot of people saying I believe in term limits. And I think that a lot of people are, it's time for a change, especially for everyone who believes in term limits. For someone being in over a decade, it's time to get someone new in there.
The state house is just a few votes either way, right? I mean, it is very much split down the middle. A switching of a district like the 3rd, with a few others could really be kind of a big deal, wouldn't it?
It would be huge, and I've known from the beginning that it'd be very unlikely. It would be a massive upset if I do win. He's been in for a long time. He's very good at campaigning. He's won a lot of campaigns. He's done this for many, many years. So, for someone like me to come in and to make all the mistakes I've made in my campaign, and I'm just gonna walk around talking with folks. I'm not a slick politician. For me to win would just be an incredible testament to the volunteers and the people of this district and the fact that they're ready for change.
Finally, make your last pitch for people. If they haven't voted, there's still, 2 hours and 15 minutes to go yet.
Yeah, polls don't close till 8 o'clock, and there's no reason not to. It is an absolutely beautiful night. There's a lot at stake. There's no lines. You'll come in, they'll process you right away, cast your vote. So, yeah, there's no reason to stay home. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful weather. Everyone's friendly. It's a great place to go. So, yeah, go exercise your civic duty. Go vote. This is an incredible thing we get to do as Americans. I've lived in countries where it truly was, I grew up in a socialist dictatorship and other places. And it's, this is an incredible thing we get to do. And it's not lost on me. Every time I do it, I feel a sense of wonder and gratitude that I live in this country and I can do it. So don't take that for granted. Go exercise your civic duty. If you don't, it'll go away.
There you go. Micah Goring, the Republican nominee for the 3rd legislative district here in Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for taking the time, Micah. Stay safe. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for all you do.
You got it. All righty. It is 5:45 here. We're down to our last several minutes here. Let's welcome back in our political guru, Dean Pepicello, our intrepid producer, Shani Bills. And guys, yowza, wow. There's a lot going on here.
Talked to a good number of people today.
Yeah.
What a day on this radio station.
Yeah.
What a couple of months on this radio station.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, to be able to cover live, literally all 4 candidates were covered live here on the show. And then, Bill Clinton comes to town and, Mark Cuban calls in. I want to make sure, let's grab this call here because I want to make sure this is not a candidate. But hello, hi, you're live on Talk Erie.
Hey, Joel, it's not a candidate this year, but maybe next.
Oh, okay, there you go. Go ahead.
Quick question. So I don't listen to much of the mainstream media, and I definitely don't listen to left-wing media. Everything that I'm hearing is really positive for Trump, as in how he has historically in the last 2 cycles polled way worse than he actually did.
Yeah.
What are the Democrats, all the talking heads saying? Are they saying the same thing, that it looks really good for Kamala? Because everything I'm hearing is it looks really, really good for the Republicans this time around. So I'm just going to get off and listen and hear what you guys have to say.
Thanks, Howie. Appreciate it. Bye. So here's the concern that I would have of being overly confident for Trump is that I think they've baked in the cake that they've been missing Trump voters. So I think they've been compensating that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think the Democrats, they feel good because ever since Trump got elected in 2016, he's lost, and the candidates he's endorsed have generally lost. So the Democrats feel good about that, and they think his ceiling is 47%.
Yeah,
I think so. Democrats feel good about those 2 things. I do, but I think Trump certainly has to feel good about the ballots. The mail-in ballots are incredible from where they were.
He had to be convinced to say, "Hey, there's,
But those numbers they'll probably tell you a lot. Are they just Republicans who decided they're going to mail in and not vote today, and they didn't vote today? I don't know. Turnout high. Who knows? What I think that this country changes when we get this result. That's what I think. I think if there is a red wave, it is telling the far left that your policies didn't work. You've been repudiated. This isn't going to work, and you need to go back to the drawing table. I think the Democratic Party, as we know it today, will be dead if there is a red wave. And I think the mainstream media will learn a lesson that no one's listening to you. Not only are you not getting ratings, but no one's paying attention to your message.
I read an article overnight in Slate that said that the media is not fact-checking good enough. That, instead of just trying to be all neutral with their fact checks that are just, not penetrating, they need to be forceful and attack with their fact checking. Haven't we been enduring that for years?
Yeah, I don't think so. And I think if there
I have 2 words: David Muir.
Yeah,
aggressive fact checking.
That's not. And I think if there is a blue wave, it will be one of 2 things. It will be that the country has changed and has pivoted to the left, and that's where we're going to be for a while. That's scary to me personally, but that could be the case. Or it's just we hate Donald Trump so much that we're not voting for him. So I don't think we'll know if the Democrats win what the reason really was. Are we changing our opinions, or is it Donald Trump? Red wave, I think, sends a strong message. I suspect if I were gambling, it's what the American people do. They'll split the government one way or another. right? It'll be a Democratic president with a Republican Senate and House. There would be a Republican president, probably with a Republican Senate, but maybe a Democratic House. Like the American people generally love split government. So it wouldn't surprise me that's how this thing ends up tonight. But again, with turnout, nothing will surprise you. But I think the country changes once this result comes out one way or another.
The Senate seems to me to be the most important piece right now, because with the Senate, no matter who's in the presidency and no matter how the House is running, you don't get the court picks. You don't get the legislation passing through. I mean, when you look at the state House has passed 400 bills, but it runs into a wall in the state Senate.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. In Pennsylvania?
In PA, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing will get done. So, but generally, Americans like divided government, certainly at the top. So we'll see. I am really fascinated if Americans are going to send a message one way or another. That's really what I'm looking for tonight. It's not exactly who wins, it's how much, and the down ballots. And are Americans really unhappy with the state of the economy and inflation in the world and immigration? They say they are. So if they are, the election should go a certain way. But yet it's Donald Trump with this ceiling. This election fascinates me, and it more will be about the numbers to me than who wins.
If we're talking crosstabs, if Trump loses, I'm gonna say it's gonna be because of weakness in older adults. If Trump wins, and again, I'm being specifically of how I'm saying this, because really. Harris has made a statement that I am not Orange Man bad.
Yep, that's been the campaign, no doubt.
That he is a existential threat. He is a narcissist and he's a fascist. And so it's going to be. It is a referendum on Trump, but the question is the energy against Trump strong enough to lift her to victory or not?
Yeah, you know what the poll I really want to see is if the Republican candidate was not Donald Trump. I just want to see if it was Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis.
We saw that stuff in the primary,
but
though.
I want to see a poll now. I want to know, Kamala Harris, they've done their best. They've run a heck of a campaign. They really have. And you've done it by not being Trump. I get it, but that would have been my advice to them.
Right.
I don't think you can run on your record, which is crazy that we're even talking about this election being close. I really want to know, J.D. Vance, give me any other name and put them on that ballot and tell me what the country feels like. I want to know how different it would be than however things end up tonight.
Yeah.
We're never going to know that. I wish that we could. I think that would tell us a lot, but it's not going to happen.
Let's get one last call for the night. I've got about 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm glad I got in, Joe.
Come on, Bill. Come on. Fourth call, buddy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just want you guys to know that exit polls are leaning towards a Trump crushing it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Joe.
Yeah, we got. Thank you. Thanks for the call. Bye bye.
That's the exit polls. They can do it now. They would know enough of people coming out now to get a trend. I mean, it's almost 6 o'clock. So
how much are they willing to say at the 6 o'clock news? Do you think?
I don't know, but there'll be. I'm sure the national. He's probably right. The national news probably has some information on exit polls. I mean, we'll see. Again, you have the whole West Coast.
Do you remember 1984 when Reagan got 500 electoral votes,
right?
And California hadn't even been halfway through their election, and they were leaking the landslide.
Would Reagan get 500 electoral votes? Would he? I don't know.
No, there's no.
You don't think the country's changed? You mean that much?
Yeah.
But you would think he would win in a landslide.
All right.
I don't know.
So what's your pick?
I'm not. I can't.
No binary pick.
I got nothing. I don't know.
Shane, you got a binary pick?
I still think it's going to go Trump's way, and I really don't want that to happen. But that's just me.
I
now.
Nothing is going to surprise me.
How can you?
Nothing's going to surprise me, Shani.
No, I won't be surprised either way, I suppose.
What about
but I'm
Erie
sticking
Erie
with
County?
my original prediction.
So you realize that if
4
Erie
years
County
ago.
doesn't pick it, we're not going to have the Italians come visit us anymore. And that would make me sad.
This is tough. Isn't
this tough?
I don't know what people are doing tomorrow.
It's all on our voters. Come on, dudes. You got to get this right.
Joel needs more Mark Cuban.
Hasn't this been an absolute blast?
I'd like you to list the number of national guests you've had on in the last month. It's incredible. It's mind-boggling. You just do it every day like it's nothing now. You've had dozens and dozens.
But we don't, because behind the scenes we're kind of freaking out.
We're like, can you believe it? You know, we're getting Liz Cheney in studio. I mean, again, good, bad, or indifferent. If you hate her or love her, that was an incredible get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You're gonna listen.
I mean,
'cause you love or hate.
you got to understand the incentive structure for when you have a show like this.
People listen because they love or hate. That's awesome. It's fine.
Yeah. Thank you for all of your amazing insight.
Thanks for letting me
really
be part
appreciate
of it.
it.
Yeah. Thanks you for letting
All
me
right.
be part of it. Seriously, guys.
We'll know something even like, hey, you know, to be continued. We might even know that tomorrow, right? All right, we will wrap up. I'm going to tell you what we're doing next because we've got all night programming covering this election 2024. All right, let's get right to it, Shaney. We want to thank all of our guests, and including the Nationals here. So we started with
Tim Murdoch.
Tim Murdoch, and then we heard
Bob Mursky. Mark Cuban. Senator Bob Casey. Then we had Mike Kelly, Tulsi Gabbard, Dean Pepicello, Micah Goring.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We kind of ran the gamut.
We
here.
sure.
Oh, Jim Wirtz.
Jim Wirtz, yes.
Didn't add Jim to the calendar here, but yeah.
So thanks to all those folks. All right, here's what's happening. Starting at 6 o'clock with Larry Elder, it's the Salem Radio Network's coverage of the election, and it's all night. So between now and 10 o'clock, Larry Elder will be anchoring the election coverage here on Talk Erie. Then it's Salem News Channel from 10 until 5, and then Hugh Hewitt picks it up at 5 a.m., and we'll go until 9. We will have Maverick Mindset Radio at 9 o'clock, but then I'm sure Mike Gallagher and the rest will be pushing right through. Thank you, Shaney Bills. Stay with this channel for your latest election coverage. God bless, and go vote.